Huge amount of cards revealed on the final day of the card reveal. 76. So that's a lot of cards to cover. We're going to be splitting this video into 3 parts. First video, 5 classes. Second video, other 5 classes. Third video, neutrals. Let's get to the cards.
The Madman!
Looks like Demon Hunter went with the Death Rattle theme. Starting with a Tusk Piercer, 1 mana, 1/2 weapon with Death Rattle, draw a Death Rattle minion. So originally I've been just saying, hey, we're gonna have to look at all the Death Rattle cards that have come out in neutral and in Demon Hunter and all the synergies. And at this point, with all the cards revealed, I am prepared to say that Demon Hunter is not prepared for the Death Rattle setup yet. Now I'm gonna say this, a 1 mana, 1/2 weapon that draws a card. That's pretty good. Has a little bit of anti-synergy with Deathspeaker Blackthorn, the legendary, because that legendary wants you to keep your Death Rattles in your deck. So that's actually a substantial problem. And Blackthorn is one of the major reasons you want to play a Death Rattle deck also. But possibly either way, there's just not enough Death Rattle quality in here to even put this card in anyways. In which case, the Demon Hunter package from this set is looking awfully grim. Fury! 1 mana. Give your hero +2 attack this turn. Upgrades when you have 5 mana. At the 5 mana point, it deals 3 damage. At the 10 mana point, it deals 4 damage. 1 mana deal 3 is pretty solid. Seems like a solid choice for the mid-rangey, potentially even aggro deck, which can spend 1 mana to deal 3 damage. It's definitely nowhere near as good as Twin Slice, but you know, you weren't expecting to get Twin Slice again, right? Vile Call, 3 mana, summon 2/2/2 demons with lifesteal. It's decent stats for the cost, but it is difficult to say whether there is some sort of value-oriented or control-oriented Demon Hunter around the corner. With these cards, probably not, but with the new core set cards, maybe it has a chance at working. And keep in mind that Demon Hunter is not in a great spot going into this expansion, for once in their lifetime. And final reveal for the Demon Hunter was the Razor Boar, 2 mana 2/2 beast, Death Rattle, summon a Death Rattle minion that costs 3 or less from your hand. So the entire idea of a lot of these Demon Hunter synergy cards seem to be you play the Razor Boar, ideally on 2, and then it lets you save 3 mana when you trade your Razor Boar in, and maybe you get out your Razorfen Beastmaster, like talking the best case out of stuff that seems to be out here. Turn after that, use your Beastmaster and you trade in. This was like the big question mark. Was there any good Death Rattle minion? And well, it seems like your choices for 4 drops, Death Rattle wise, would be Renowned Performer, Fishy Flyer, you know, admittedly looks pretty good, or Darkspear Berserker, which is a bit of a dark horse, but it's like all the pieces do kinda look like they fit together, and it should certainly be tried out, but I'm not holding out high hopes for that deck right now. Druid gets Pride's Fury, 4 mana, give your minions +1/+3. Cool buff card. It does require you to already have a board and then play it, so it's intended for the token decks. I think it costs a little too much mana to be playing in a token deck. Also, you should just be playing Arbor Up instead. And admittedly, it is very hard for anything to compare it to Arbor Up. Should we be playing both together? I think not quite good enough and too similar to Arbor Up to play both of them. That would make your deck too reliant on actually having tokens, and then you'd have too many cards be useless. Thorngrove Sentries, 2 mana, summon 2/1/2 turtles with taunt. Decent card in the token deck, decent card in the taunt deck. Since Thorngrove Sentries is a nature spell, that works with Guff Rune Totem, and then Guff Rune Totem can hide behind your taunts, potentially getting you even more stats next turn. That could be good. Thickhide Kodo, 4 mana 3/5, taunt, Death Rattle, gain 5 armor, also a beast. This serves a similar purpose to Steel Beetle, and given that Steel Beetle never really took off, I have to figure Thickhide Kodo probably also will not. And the final card reveal for Druid, they left this just to sneak it in at the end, and this is one that really gets your mind working. Celestial Alignment, 7 mana, set each player to 0 mana crystals. Set the cost of cards in all hands and decks to 1. That is a really wild card, very, very difficult to evaluate. So what's the point of this card? You want to put it into a big deck because after you play this card, every single card in your deck and hand costs 1. If you can play a bigger card than the opponent each turn, you'll tend to win. The problem is your opponent gets the first play after Celestial Alignment occurs. So they get to play their biggest card first. Now, you'll probably have built your deck so that you have way bigger cards than the opponent. And maybe your cards are proactive cards. So you play your Fizzy Elemental and you kill their card, and then from there you snowball in. That's a possible way of playing Druid. Gonna be really interesting to see how this card pans out. Hunter gets Wound Prey. 1 mana, deal 1 damage, summon a 1/1 Hyena with Rush. So it's an improvement on a previous card. Yeah, it's incrementally gotten better, but still doesn't do that much effect, and you're spending a card for it. And you'll run out of cards if you play too many of cards like this. Prospector's Caravan. So with this set of reveals, we got to see a set of cards called Caravans. Caravans are all cards that are 2 mana 1/3s, which say at the start of your turn, do something. Prospector's Caravan is the Hunter, 2 mana 1/3. At the start of your turn, give all minions in your hand +1/+1. This might be the worst cycle of cards that have ever been printed. So the main problem is such cards are only good on turn 2. And, you know, if you actually coin it out, it is admittedly pretty good. But the problem is they fall off so fast after turn 1 and 2. Because then you're just paying 2 mana for a 1/3. And if your opponent actually has a board and they kill your 1/3, then, you know, you paid 2 mana for a 1/3. And I will mention where the Caravans do shine is against control metas. Because if you are up against a control meta, this is a 2 mana 3 health card. And they need to answer it or you'll get a lot of value out of it. That goes for all the Caravans. But the problem there is you need to actually have the Caravan in your hand by turn 2, which is really asking something. I'm gonna make a blanket statement now that I think all the Caravans are quite bad. This one is especially bad because giving all minions in your hand +1/+1 isn't really that useful in Hunter. Pakoto. 3 mana 3/3. Beast. Battlecry, discover a beast secret, a weapon. Excellent card. They've really pushed the level of cards that generate a card. The first time I mentioned this was with Volpera Scoundrel, where I was like, oh man, it's 3 mana 2/3, but they're really pushing it. Now they've gone out and made a 3 mana 3/3. Given the options of discoveries here, you get quite a selection. Secret's always 2 mana, so always cheap. The weapon in this case tends to be pretty cheap, but if you have a lot of health, you can choose it. If you want to do damage immediately, you can choose it. And then the beast, you know, is just a big grab bag of stuff. So you're going to likely get something that'll fit the scenario that you're in. So yeah, Pakoto, really good. I expect to see it in a lot of Hunter decks. Piercing Shot. 4 mana, deal 6 damage to a minion. Excess damage hits the enemy hero. It's an interesting card which is designed for the aggro deck, I'm gonna say. Because in terms of dealing damage to minions, it's not that efficient, but because it does perfect damage to minion and face, it obviously is intended for decks that want to be able to deal some amount of damage to the face. So that will be for your more tempo, aggro, and maybe even the faster mid-range Hunter decks. I am going to say that it's a little bit pricey though, so might not actually see play. Warsong Wrangler. 4 mana 3/4, Battlecry, discover a beast in your deck. Give all copies of it +2/+1 wherever they are. So it does seem like Hunters are getting a beast synergy theme, and there is Dire Frenzy now for Hunters. So I guess the ultimate idea would be you Dire Frenzy a beast you really like, you play the Warsong Wrangler, you discover hopefully that beast, and then not only are you buffing that beast by +2/+1, you're also buffing all the other types of beasts of that in your deck. That looks like a decent value Hunter build. The question is that too slow for Hunter? And is that good enough to compete with all the other value that all the other classes are getting? Remains to be seen, but this card does seem efficient for the cost. Mage, getting a really strong card. Ruined Orb, 2 mana, deal 2 damage, discover a spell. This is Arcane Breath, except it can hit face and doesn't require the dragon in your hand, which is a big deal. The non-dragon requirement, I think, makes this card almost an auto-include in all Mage decks for the next 2 years, perhaps. Very good for the cost. Wildfire. 2 mana, increase the damage of your hero power by 1. So will this hero power mage work out? I'm gonna set that as unlikely, but seems intended for a value control mage, since obviously this gets back its value slowly over time as you press the button more and more. It's Refreshing Spring Water. 4 mana, draw 2 cards, refresh 2 mana crystals for each spell drawn. That is a really cool card to see in terms of the name and the art actually. I remember playing World of Warcraft and drinking a bunch of that Refreshing Spring Water in the early levels, which the Barrens is clearly depicting now. And, with all these cards revealed, the art style makes a lot of sense, where all these cards are showcasing basically low-level new characters. Obviously, the idea of this card is to include it into a deck with as many spells as possible, because ideally, you pay the 4 mana, and then you draw the 2 cards, and then you refresh your 4 mana. So 0 mana, draw 2 cards. Pretty sweet. Obviously an auto-include in the Spell Mage deck, and potentially the more spell-heavy your deck is, the better Refreshing Spring Water will be. In the case that your deck is 50-50 spells and minions, you will on average spend 2 mana to draw 2 cards, but it's important to note that you'll have to have 4 mana to play the card, and if you're 50-50, then sometimes you refresh 0, most of the time you refresh 2, sometimes you refresh 4. And it's very difficult to plan your turn around the chance of sometimes getting 0 or 4 or 2 mana. So not as good as it looks in a 50-50 spell and non-spell deck, but still definitely worth considering. Rhyme Tongue. 3 mana 3/4. After you cast a frost spell, summon a 1/1 elemental that freezes. Another Violet Teacher type effect. And this one seems a little underwhelming to me. There's not that many frost spells that you're looking to run in Mage, and the payoff isn't that big. Though, the dedication to playing this card isn't that big either. All you have to do is put a 3 mana 3/4 into your deck. Whatever. Currently, it seems like the Frost Mage deck would most likely be one that worked in some sort of tempo deck, and Rhyme Tongue does fit that theme. You're playing Tempo Valley when you're playing Rhyme Tongue. You play the card, you play some frost spells, you freeze their stuff, you get a bunch of 1/1s. Those 1/1s can freeze down the opponents again as you attack with your big attack low health minions, in theory. Oasis Ally. That's a really strong mage secret. 3 mana, secret. When a friendly minion is attacked, summon a 3/6 Water Elemental. Water Elemental is a card that's almost worth considering putting in a number of decks. And if you're paying 3 mana for it, that's a good deal. Now, the thing is, and the thing that makes Oasis Ally especially good, is that Arcanologist is in the core set. So Arcanologist is a awesome 2 mana 2/3, which draws you this card. And then you'll probably be playing it in some sort of tempo deck, because you'll need minions. So you have some minions, you play Oasis Ally, you're getting a 3/6 Water Elemental for 3 mana. That's a good deal. And finally, there's Arcane Luminary. 3 mana 4/3. Cards that didn't start in your deck cost 2 less, but not less than 1. We've seen this card before on cards like the old 4 mana 4/5 Yeti. That card didn't really see much success. And that was a battle cry, which is probably better than Arcane Luminary. It seems unlikely that you will generate that many new cards that you want to run a 3 mana 4/3 just to discount things sometimes. It is best with Evocation, but that's a really specific combo to go for. Now, Paladin. Paladin, oh man, this final day was extremely good for Paladin. This might be the strongest card in the set right here. Sword of the Fallen. 2 mana 1/3. After your hero attacks, cast a secret from your deck. That's 3 Mad Scientists! Do you understand how insane that is? The 1/3 weapon is comparable to the 2/2 stat line of a Mad Scientist also. And did you know this card actually is faster than Mad Scientist? Because, Mad Scientist is a death rattle. And when I was saying something along the lines when Cannon Master Smythe first came out, I was like, okay, well this card won't make the secret Paladin deck work. it's gonna need a good secret enabler. But yeah, Sword of the Fallen, that's the card that makes you put in all these bad Paladin secrets into your deck. To top that off, there's also a number of secret lovers. Northwatch Commander, 3 mana, 3/4, battlecry if you control secret, draw a minion. Great card. Obviously, you put this into exactly a deck with Sword of the Fallen if you're running exactly that secret Paladin deck. Very similar to the old secret Paladin, I think. And hey, here's a secret. Galloping Savior. After your opponent plays 3 cards in a turn, summon a 3/4 Steed with Taunt. Definitely a card that I think you put in one of in your Paladin deck with secrets in it, just to mix up the number of secrets so that you have a variety to pull with your Sword of the Fallen. Soldier's Caravan, 2 mana, 1/3. At the start of your turn, summon 2 1/1 Silverhand Recruits. It is a snowball-y card. If you actually play your Soldier's Caravan and they don't remove it, you probably get quite far ahead. But the problem is, again, you need to get this so early in the game for it to matter, and also your opponent needs to not be playing a tempo deck, because if you play a 2 mana 1/3, you fall behind on tempo. And Knight of Anointment, 1 mana 1/1, battlecry, draw a holy spell. Holy spells are, again, most of the Librams, so 1 mana 1/1, 2 to your deck for a Libram. That's actually pretty solid. Gets you one of the better cards from your deck. The reason you built your deck around Librams was to get the Librams. Here's a scary thing, maybe you mix and match Libram package with secret package, combine them together, mix them up, they're both mid-rangey. That could work. So yeah, watch out for that archetype. Stay tuned for more cool cards from Forge and the Barrens.